let's get into it on a Sunday. We are less than a week away from the first night of WrestleMania. This is going to be kind of a different week here, Wrestling Rants, where we're going to be going off course of our usual schedule, which we will start up very much after the WrestleMania weekend coming up here with unique themed rants every single day. I'm going to do just a quick run through so everybody kind of understands the schedule. Once again, I've talked about this in other rants, but starting after WrestleMania, on that Monday, actually after WrestleMania, we will do an absolutely jam-packed Monday mega rant on everything from WrestleMania, the fallout from it, what things mean from that pay-per-view onward. And so that will go down on Monday after WrestleMania. Come back here and we will talk about it in a mega rant. Over the weekend of WrestleMania, I still will have updates from the show, my thoughts, some quick thoughts on WrestleMania both nights after both WrestleMania events. I'm going to be watching them at home. I'm not going to be in Los Angeles, unfortunately. I can't believe I'm not going to be there because I've been to LA so many times. I'm so familiar with the area. It's just a shame I can't afford to make it out this time around for the big one this coming weekend. Then, from that point on, after WrestleMania, we talked about Mega Rant Monday. Big follow-up rant on everything WrestleMania from the weekend. Then we go into our usual stuff. Tuesdays, top 10 takes. Wednesdays, must-see midweek matchups. Thursday, retrospective, a look back at a different event or a different theme in wrestling. Fridays, versus. This is where versus usually drops on Fridays, so be looking for that on Fridays after WrestleMania week. And then Saturdays, laying the rant down, where I just kind of throw my thoughts and opinions down on the latest insider news in wrestling, some stuff you guys might know and might not know about what's going on in the world of wrestling. A lot of information pulled up from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which usually drops every Friday into Saturday. So I read that, and then we'll talk about the latest insider news of the week, laying the round down every Saturday. I'm hoping actually to have a laying the round down coming on the pipeline later today, by the way, on that note. And then on Sundays, after WrestleMania concludes, that following Sunday, we will be starting Wrestling Roundup, which is a look at all of the week's wrestling shows from the low end, like an MLW, all those 1 hour shows, NWA, things like that, up to the high end stuff, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, etc., etc. So that's the usual schedule, which will hit and be consistent after WrestleMania week. This week's going to be a little bit different because there's so many different shows going on. What's going to end up being is, especially from Wednesday on, it's just going to be unique content, unique rants, unique looks back at different events from WrestleMania week. So there's going to be a lot of just basic rants on shows coming up from about Thursday all the way through WrestleMania weekend. I'll just be doing rapid fire rants, I'm going to call them, because there's so many shows that I'm going to be checking out. So be looking for that as part of WrestleMania week right here, Wrestling Rants. What do we have going on for the rest of the week here? Well, today we're going to be talking versus Impact from Ring of Honor from last Thursday. We're going to be also dropping a mega rant on Impact Sacrifice from Friday night. Been meaning to drop that one. Laying the rant down will be on its way sometime today. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the plan of action is to drop a retrospective rant on WrestleMania every single one of those days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Be looking for that leading into WrestleMania week. We won't probably be doing a top 10 takes this week. I may throw it in there. We'll see what kind of time we got. I'll probably still have time to do a Wednesday night on the midweek must-see matches as well. And then we go into just WrestleMania week content. So that's the basic gist of the schedule. So let's get into things with Versus. This past Thursday's episodes of Impact and Ring of Honor, as we have done now, this I think is our third iteration of Versus of this type of battle, the Impact Ring of Honor battle. If you don't recall, how we do this is we compare each show on a head-to-head battle. These are 2-hour shows, each of them. We're going to treat them like they're head-to-head, even though they aren't truly head-to-head on a Thursday night. I think the last hour of Ring of Honor is head-to-head with the first hour of Impact, technically. But we're just going to treat it like it's a head-to-head battle. And we're going to take a look at every single quarter hour. We have 8 quarter hours in a 2-hour programming. Those are 15-minute blocks. And we're going to talk about how each compares to each other for the content that is aired on each programming. Then we determine who wins each quarter hour. And at the end, we do a tally to determine who wins the week's War of Versus. So let's get into it right now. Let's talk about Impact from Thursday. Just some general thoughts before we break it down. This show was a bit weird. If you recall, I was at this taping for Impact. This was kind of the last stuff from Las Vegas from back in February. And what was weird about this was the matches were taped so out of sequence. Like, what was dropped on this show was not taped in order of kind of what all went on content-wise at the show. So, for example, the Josh Alexander promo at the end of the show was definitely not the last thing taped on that Sunday. It was actually a match that I don't know where they're going with it, if they're going to air it. It was a mixed 6-man tag. Looking back, let me take a look back at my notes here. That was PCO, Bhupinder Gujjar, and Jordan Grace over Eddie Edwards, Kenny King, and Giselle Shaw. Now, this match may air next week on Impact because they still have content to drop. Apparently, the Josh Alexander Kenta match, that world title match we've been talking about for a couple weeks, that will drop on next Thursday's Impact. As well as some other stuff they were talking about. There was a Will Ospreay match with Homicide. I don't know what company that was from. Definitely not Impact. So I guess we'll just wait and find out what happens next Thursday, as Impact has a live episode from Los Angeles as well to lead into that Multiverse United big show late on Thursday, which definitely I will be checking out and definitely be talking about right here, because there's a lot of stuff going on in that show. So Impact was kind of underwhelming this week in that aspect. I thought a lot of the stuff that they showed this week was kind of subpar compared to some of the other weeks. But let's get into it with Impact's first quarter hour. They actually opened up with a match I thought was going to main event, and that was Time Machine against the Design in a 6-person tag. It was okay. I can't say it was maybe better than the other 6-man that was on this same taping that I went to, which was the match that was main event last week. That Josh Alexander, Rich Swann, Kazarian against Bullet Club match. But this was still pretty solid. Let's go over to Ring of Honor. Quick thoughts on it. This felt a lot more cohesive than the previous weeks of Ring of Honor. And in fact, this felt a lot like an actual Ring of Honor show with a lot of actual Ring of Honor past talent that they brought in. So it made for a really fun show. And the in-ring was pretty strong on this show too. As a whole. So the first quarter hour of Ring of Honor competing against that 6-man from Impact. Joe did a promo to kick off, talking a little bit about his match with Mark Briscoe at the Supercard of Honor this Friday, which we will also be definitely doing a rant on that one. Then we got Mark Briscoe against Tony Nese. It was a decent match. Froggy Blow for the win from Briscoe. Quarter hour wise though, I'm going to go first quarter hour for Impact for that 6-man tag. That 6-man tag rolled into the second quarter hour as well. It had a decent amount of time. So that ran head-to-head on then Ring of Honor for that second quarter hour with a really excellent 6-man tag that I enjoyed. AR Fox, Blake Christian, Grand Metalik against Slim J, Ari Daivari, and Jeeves K from the Trustbusters. And I gave the win on that one for the Ring of Honor with that 6-man that ran basically head-to-head with the ending of the 6-man on Impact. Also, Impact had a little bit in that quarter hour of Muhammad Ali Shera, Raj Singh. He's changing his name to Champagne Singh. They did a vignette on that. So right now we have one head-to-head quarter hour win for Impact and one head-to-head quarter hour win for Ring of Honor as we finish off that first half hour of both programming. So let's go into the third quarter hour. So it'd be the bottom part of that first hour. Kenny King and Eddie Edwards did a promo on PCO. Keep in mind, all this stuff was leading into Sacrifice on Friday night, that big pay-per-view. Savannah Evans against Deonna Purrazzo. I remember seeing this match live. I remember being very disappointed by the work in this match. I think they did some edits in this match to make it look a little bit better ultimately. So there was that. On the other side, on Ring of Honor, we had Sky Blue against Lady Frost, which this was a pretty decent little match, I thought. I thought both of them worked pretty well together. In fact, I gave Ring of Honor the nod on this quarter hour in the Battle of the Women's match, on both shows. Go to quarter hour 4. This is nearing the top of that first hour on Impact. They did a flashback match from Sacrifice in 2010, I believe it was. And this was Motor City Machine Guns, Beer Money, and Team 3D in a triple threat #1 contenders match. This was not bad. This was not bad at all. I think it was from 2010. I'm looking at my notes here. It says 2018, but that can't be correct. I don't think those talents were around at that point still in the company. So I think it was 2010 on that one. Also, the Death Dolls did a segment where essentially they wrote off Ty Valkyrie on this segment. They had some sort of situation where they were looking for the Coven. The suggestion was that the Coven put a spell or something on the Death Dolls of some sort. And so the Death Dolls are looking. This was actually without Rosemary. It was Taya. It was Jessica Havoc. They're in the back looking around. They see a coffin. They're like, what's going on here? They slightly open the coffin. If you recall the story with this, the kind of the dark side angle that they've done with kind of going into this alternate realm of darkness. That's like the portal, if I recall. And basically what happened was the portal opened, hands came out of the coffin, and they grabbed Taya Valkyrie and took her away, presumably back to the alternate dark land of Impact Wrestling, which is obviously a sign that she's off TV. She's not going to be an Impact for at least a while. We'll see where they go with things with AEW and such. We'll see if she comes back, but for now, she's written off with that segment. Over on Ring of Honor, we had a couple of good things on this quarter-hour segment. Rush and Dralistico against Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus, the former Ring of Honor Tag Champions. Rush and Dralistico went over on that one. And then they had a really good promo segment, a sit-down interview with Caprice Coleman and Eddie Kingston, and also the world champion Claudio Castagnoli. I thought this was an excellent little segment there that really pushed this quarter hour for Ring of Honor. So right now we got Ring of Honor with 1, 2, 3 quarter hour wins in that first hour. Impact only had that first quarter hour win on that for the first hour. So let's move into that second hour. Over on Impact, we got Bully Ray, Masha Slamovich in a mixed tag against Mickie James and Tommy Dreamer. A little bit clunky looking back at this match, but boy, this had a lot of heat. I remember being at the arena. This had so much heat in the arena with everything going on that, I was frankly, didn't come off as much on TV, but the crowd was really into this live, for sure. Over on Ring of Honor, we had a couple quick matches. Matt Taven over Darius Martin of Top Flight. That's setting up Kingdom against Top Flight at the pay-per-view at Supercard of Honor. And then also Brian Cage went over Tony Deppen in a relatively quick match. as well. Both of these matches filled 1/4 hour. Now keep in mind that Ring of Honor technically gets a bit of a handicap here because they don't have commercial breaks in their programming. It's a straight 2 hours of non-stop in-ring action, whereas Impact has to take commercial breaks. So you're basically getting about 12 minutes on Impact in a 1/4 hour and then a full 15 on Ring of Honor. So they always have a little bit of an advantage there. For that 1/4 hour, I would probably go with Impact for that one. I liked that mixed tag, especially compared to just a couple glorified squashes. Definitely Impact on that 1/4 hour for that mixed tag. 1/4 hour 6 of 8. Now we got on Impact, Rich Swann and Steve Macklin. A promo in the back. There's some conjecture about Macklin was kind of stalking Josh Alexander, and that gets brought up again at the end of the show. Also some more promos going on here. Just a lot of promos in this 1/4 hour. Dirty Dango also with Joe Hendry. Got things going with Moose and Brian Myers in a match that kind of rolled in as well to the second, another 1/4 hour. This would be the 7th 1/4 hour. Let's go over to Ring of Honor and let's see what they had over there. Actually, I really liked this part of the show. Shane Taylor over Silas Young, both kind of Ring of Honor veterans, I would call. This was a fun little match. Also, Billy Starks against Miranda Elizé, another decent little match. So they fit, once again, 2 more matches in a 1/4 hour. I go Ring of Honor for that one for sure because there really wasn't much of substance on Impact Wrestling for sure at this point. 1/4 hour 7, we're down in that last half hour of both shows. Bottom part of that second hour. Moose Brian Myers against Dirty Dango and Joe Hendry is continuing on at this point in that 1/4 hour. Finishes off, as a matter of fact, in that 1/4 hour. That goes head-to-head with the Aussie Open match with Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels, which I have to pick that 1/4 hour for Ring of Honor in that one. That match was real good. Real good. That might make the best midweek matchups possibly. We'll see come Wednesday on that. But real good stuff on Ring of Honor. Got to give them another 1/4 hour there. And then both shows end really oddly. Impact had a Josh Alexander promo setting up things with Steve Macklin. The unfortunate part of this is that this match is not even going to happen now because of the injury to Josh Alexander, which we'll talk about in the Sacrifice Mega Rant. They really didn't have anything announced on this show that Alexander was injured, that Mickie James was injured. This was obviously taped earlier in the week. They didn't know the information. They weren't able to drop it into the episode itself. So that made it a little things kind of awkward for this show as well, knowing that he had those injuries, that the card was going to change for Sacrifice, yet they didn't really promote it on this show at all because of the closeness to the production of the show. So Josh Alexander does this promo on Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin comes out and showcases that he's been stalking Josh Alexander, and that's kind of the gist of the end of Impact. It's starting the slow build to Sacrifice with those two competitors, but as we know, that match is not happening at this point because of Alexander's injury, which he just had surgery for as well. Triceps injury, I believe. Then over on Ring of Honor, we had a Samoa Joe Open Challenge, which was answered by Cheeseburger. This match was nut but a squash. Afterwards, Joe attacked Cheeseburger, was going to lay him out. Mark Briscoe came out. Very formulaic ending to this show. I thought this maybe would have worked better on the first part of the show and not the ending, particularly as a main event. I think that Aussie Open match with Sydal and Daniels really should have main evented truly. But tit for tat, it is what it is. On that last 1/4 hour, I will probably go with Impact with that Josh Alexander promo with Macklin. Storyline-wise, it was decent. The promo work from both guys was good too. And that Ring of Honor last part was just a very dry ending too. But otherwise, was a pretty phenomenal show for Ring of Honor. So overall, we close out Versus this week with 5 1/4 hour wins for Ring of Honor and 3 1/4 hour wins for Impact. So just barely, Ring of Honor gets the nod this week on Impact versus Ring of Honor here at Versus from the 23rd of March, those episodes. All right, folks, come on right back here very soon, later today, dropping that mega rant on Impact Sacrifice. Got some news and notes from that show, star ratings, my thoughts on everything about TNA, or excuse me, Impact. I can't call them TNA anymore. Impact Sacrifice, as well as any news on the stuff with the injuries from Mickey James, Josh Alexander. We will all talk about it. Coming up right next for a mega rant on TNA Impact Sacrifice. There I go, calling it TNA again. All right, everybody, see you right back here. TNA Impact Sacrifice coming up next, right here, Wrestling Rants, baby.